Hey y'all, my name is Briley Casanova and I'm a certified mental performance consultant, or CMPC for short. In case y'all missed it, the last episode that I recorded, I shared, it explains all about what a CMPC does, and what it means in addition to what it doesn't mean. So I encourage you guys to check that out since my introduction and my title are now just slightly different. Very, very exciting news. A lot has actually changed since the last episode that I recorded. So, just really quick, obviously, if you've seen my video versions of my podcast, I know I don't have too many out there, but my background's different. You guys can actually see my face now as opposed to just hearing my voice. So, whatever platform you are watching or listening on, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for your support. It really, truly means a lot to me. This is very exciting, and hopefully uploading this version of my podcast in this video format. I'm trying something new today. I'm recording straight from my computer, so hopefully everything works out in that aspect, but if it doesn't, it's cool. We're just going to roll with it. I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, I guess, when it comes to this, podcast process. And again, I appreciate those of y'all that are listening and watching and just being there for me every step of the way. I have to express my gratitude with that. So today, I want to talk about how do we go from, whether you're an athlete or whatever activity you do, how do we go from wanting to win to like being able to say, I've won this thing, I've accomplished this thing, I've gotten from A to Z. I had this thought the other day about like when I was an athlete and just this mindset of wanting to win. At the end of the day, I think everybody listening to this wants to win something. And maybe for you it's buying a house. Maybe for you it's securing that next better job opportunity. Maybe it's, being the best something at whatever activity they're doing. There's so many different ways of interpreting winning and being successful. And I just wanted to talk about that topic today. And me having an athletic background personally and working with athletes, I want to talk about like how much it means to athletes to succeed and win. We talk about all the time, at least if you're working with me, like how do we get there, right? The process. It obviously takes a lot of really hard work and following and sticking to a particular process. And so I guess I wanted to talk about, well, what is that process? What does that mean? I have some ideas that I think I can apply to, no matter who's listening, but taking the context away from, working with athletes in particular. So with that, the main idea to win is just that. So follow the acronym WIN, WIN. It stands for what's important now. It's something I tell my athletes all the time, and I think maybe one step closer to that is thinking, well, what's right in front of you, right? So one analogy, I saw this on LinkedIn the other day and it really struck me. And it's basically the concept of looking at what's in your 3-foot world. So quote unquote, your 3-foot world, what's literally 3 feet in front of you and maybe to your peripheral sides, right? Not behind you, right? It's your 3-foot world in front of you. So usually what that means is what's literally directly under your control within a 3-foot radius. So if you can reach for it in front of you, if you can think about it or do something actionable within a 3-foot radius or whatever's 3 feet in front of you, that's all you really need to think about at the end of the day. And really at the end of the day, that's what, is going to require action from you. And again, like I said briefly, there's no sense in looking 3 feet behind you, but what's 3 feet in front of you? So the next time you're encountering maybe a roadblock in your process towards success, that's something I encourage you guys to think about. So additionally, another thought I had, or another question I had, I guess, was, well, what's the process of winning? What does that look like? And I think first and foremost, it's about your preparation. How are you preparing and putting in the effort towards winning whatever you guys want to win? Again, it's about putting the reps in other words. So again, if you're like, for example, like right now, me personally, I'm looking at trying to buy a house. So what comes with that is like, well, go and look at houses, talk to realtors, talk to mortgage lenders, talk to people within the real estate space. so that's again just maybe a more real world example, less of an athletic example. But my version of that is basically what I'm doing in that process is I'm putting the reps in. I'm going to look at houses below my budget, above my budget, within my budget, good, bad, and ugly, all the best options that I can find within the market around me. That's what I'm doing. So again, the concept of just starting with maybe putting in the bad reps. You got to start somewhere, right? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall along the way. You're going to wobble. You're going to, again, make mistakes. You're going to make maybe not the best choices, but put those reps in. Then eventually you're going to learn and you're going to put maybe some better reps in. Again, if you're thinking like an athlete, it's like crawling before you can walk, before you can run. Again, you got to start somewhere. You got to mess up first. No one starts out doing anything perfectly. Right? Like when you're teaching a baby how to walk, like they stand up and then they fall down, and then they maybe stand up and take a step and then fall down, right? It's those literal baby steps that get you closer to success. And not everybody's willing to do the baby steps, right? So if you are committed to winning, you have to be committed to the process. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but back to, the reps, like that's what it takes to win. And whether, you want to win or not, maybe some of you guys listening, maybe winning isn't your number one priority, and that's cool too. But whether you want to win or not, if you follow a process that works to some extent, and if you stick with the habits that work, you will find success or winning one way or another. So I think the main message with that thought is, again, a quote that I heard or saw somewhere. I wish I could give credit to where I heard this, but winners find a way. At the end of the day, winners find a way, no matter what that way is, but they find a way and they make their process work for them. So I think that's really, really important. And another thing I think that's interesting, I heard this, I was on a company or business trip, I guess you could say, and something that I heard of someone in my my network say was that they don't like or they don't agree with the idea of what's a SMART goal. So I don't know, that really stood out to me, and I didn't have the opportunity to ask questions about like why that was the case, but I just want to share with you guys that setting goals and setting SMART goals, so SMART, there's a very specific acronym for what that means, and I can talk about that shortly in case that's something you haven't heard of. But I think we all know that setting goals is usually a very positive thing, right? I mean, whether you're an athlete or you're a business person or a student or a human being, like at some point, whether you intentionally did it or not, you've probably set a goal before, right? And I think we have to set goals to have something to aim for, something to strive for, right? And in addition to setting a goal, we have to complete the action steps to get closer to those goals. Right. So again, that's where the putting the reps in, but putting intentional reps in. It's not just willy-nilly, like I'm just going to chuck this and see what happens. Having a goal associated with your reps, purposeful, intentional reps, that's where habits form. And that's where previous habits that you've maybe already started is what you will build upon. And that's where patterns will fit in to assist you in sticking with your goals. So anyway, I think after hearing someone in my, field not really buy into the idea of SMART goals, again, I just want to let you guys know that's something that I actually very much align with, and that's what I help my athletes use as a template to set goals. And now, do I think it's perfect? No, but like, do goals have to be perfect? Also no. It's a starting point, it's an idea, it's a vision, you have to have something to aim for at the end of the day though. Right? And I think that's the most important thing. Whether you come up with a different acronym or you come up with another method of setting a goal, at the end of the day, are you setting an intention for something you want to accomplish? I think that has value. Because what we do, again, indirectly or directly as humans, we act hopefully in service of our goals. And if not, if you're acting in service of avoiding something, then that's a different story. But most of us, again, whether we are conscious of it or not, we have goals, we have ideas of what we want to accomplish. It's just a matter of how intentional are you being about those things. So anyway, I guess just to back up why I think goals are important is because they help us understand not just what we want, but they give us a sense of aim and direction. So just a general idea of where we want to go in our lives, it's always a good thing, right? Rather than just like living hedonistically or without a vision for what you want. I think if you're not having some kind of vision or goal or intention, you're pretty much just stumbling along and just expecting things to come to you without really putting work in and putting in effort. So I think with that too, goals can actually be very motivating if they are properly conceptualized and analyzed. And with that, so it's not even just coming up with the goal, like what you want to do, but I think more importantly, knowing why you want to do something is just as important with that first step, right? And I think that's where maybe a lot of us miss, that part of the process. It's because I think that's what's going to help you. It's going to support you mentally in the long term, not just in the short term. Because I think a lot of us, we think about our future, but in terms of like tangible steps, it's a lot easier to gravitate towards setting more short-term or like mid-term goals, not like 5 to 10 years out, right? Because sometimes thinking that far ahead in the future is very ominous and very overwhelming. So yes, setting shorter to mid-term length goals, maybe like up to 6 months or maybe a year out, it's definitely an easier way to go, but that can also keep us like, it can almost blind us to thinking big picture sometimes. So, and again, all of that can become very overwhelming, especially if we set those goals and then we have things that come up, obstacles that come up along the way that can derail us. Then we lose hope, we lose faith, we lose confidence. But I think another thing to think about is goals can be changed. Goals do not have to be set in stone. They don't have to be permanent. Goals can change. And also values can change. If you tie your goals to a value, something that's intrinsically important to you, your character, you as a human, you're more likely to stick to those things in the long term as well. So that's something to think about. Again, and that's much more attainable as opposed to setting a goal out of like desperation or obedience or necessity or obligation to something outside of you. So I want you guys to think about that, process that for a second. Again, that's getting us to the win part. How do we go from win? And after our brief little ad break, let's talk about how do we go from that win to that one, the past tense. Like I have won, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. So quick ad break and we will come back.
Hey y'all, I'm briefly interrupting this episode to let y'all know about Anchor. Anchor is a free app that lets you create your own podcast for free. It comes with tools that allow you to edit and record your podcast from your phone or computer, which is amazing and so helpful for non-tech oriented people like me. Anchor also distributes your podcast for free, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and even more. You can monetize your podcast too with no minimum listenership. It's seriously everything you need to create a podcast all in one place, and that's why I love using Anchor. Please go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you to Anchor for making this podcast possible for me.
Okay, so after that brief ad break, I want to bring up the point. So all the previous suggestions that I've just made really lead to preparing for success, right? Everybody says that they want to win, they want to be successful, but no one can be successful without diligent preparation and being ready to actually accept that success when it comes to us, right? So I'll dive into what that means here in a second. So again, I think taking my athlete background, a lot of athletes think they want to be successful, but maybe they aren't really willing to do what it takes to get there. And that's a really hard thing to admit, but that's something, again, maybe you guys, after listening to this today, it's something I want you to think about. And taking that a step further, so if you really want to succeed, you better find a way to appreciate and stick to the process or the action steps to get you there too. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway from today. If you really want to win, if you want to go from win to one, you have to appreciate and enjoy and love, or at least like, the process, because that's what's going to get you there. It's all the nitty-gritty, dirty work from beginning to end. So again, with that, I think comes reducing expectations and entitlement to success. That's also very, very imperative. No one is purely entitled to win anything in life at the end of the day. And I know that that's kind of a bitter pill to swallow. And I'm not saying that I wish that on anybody, but in reality, the world doesn't owe you anything. No one owes you anything. So again, going back to that idea of winners find a way, winners make a way, that's where you have to be the one to fill in the blanks. And what are those blanks? It's sticking to habits, a process, tasks, doing things that other people don't want to do. I think that leads me to remember a sentiment that Jordan Peterson talks about all the time. It's notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated. And that's exactly what winners do. That's exactly what the champions of our world do. They take opportunities where responsibility has been given up by somebody else. So, again, with the idea of winning not being a guarantee, I think another bitter reality that comes with that is even if you do everything right, winning is not a guarantee. And I say that not to discourage you, but to free you, again, of expectations and of the pressure that maybe you're putting on yourself, or maybe someone else is putting pressure on you to win. But again, all of that to say and go back to the idea of falling in love with the process and falling in love with the nitty-gritty, mundane, boring routines and tasks that you have to do every single day. Like, again, I go back to my gymnastics days and I think of conditioning and stretching, like my least favorite things to do when it comes to gymnastics. Like, I loved the actual gymnastics, the flipping, the twisting, the jumping, the flying, all those things. But man, those extra things to stay in shape or get in shape or stay healthy, it's the I guess you could call it like strength and conditioning and the stretching. If those little things, just I could not, want to get further away from back when I was doing those things. But it's those necessary things that come with it. And again, I think all of that to say, it's just another reason why enjoying the process is more important than only being stuck on the outcome, the result, or just the thought of like winning. Because here's the other question to ask yourself. Well, what if you do everything right and it doesn't happen? What do you do then? Was all of your time wasted? Hopefully not. That's not how I would like you to think about it. But maybe did you learn something about yourself? Did you improve at something? Again, if you get more wrapped up in those questions and those intentions, those ideas, the less attached you are to the outcome as opposed to the process. And I think with that comes more satisfaction, fulfillment, and more just preparedness and readiness for whatever comes to you, whether it's the outcome you want or an outcome you don't want. Either way, at least if you're focused on the process, you will get something good out of it. If you're looking at that, that's just, it's about perspective in a situation like this. So, I don't know if you've been listening to me and thinking this whole time, okay, well, going from win to won, you have an acronym for win, but what's the acronym for won? So WON, past tense of win. I came up with the idea of what opportunity is next. And again, that's like what the champions and those that are resilient in athletics, business, academics, whatever. I think that's a question that everybody asks. As soon as they get off the podium, they're thinking, all right, I've won, I've done this thing. What now? Give me the next challenge, right? And if you can go from enjoying the process, falling in love with the process, to then enjoying your time up on the podium, enjoying that ribbon or that medal being placed around your neck, then you can ask yourself, okay, what now? What opportunity is next? And that's, I think, the biggest word in that acronym is opportunity. Seeing opportunity, instead of just seeing result. Like what can I win next? That's not, your head, I think, is in an okay place, but instead of thinking about, okay, well, what award can I win next? It's what opportunity to get better is next, or just what opportunity that's open-ended is next for me. So again, let's say that you've finally won what you wanted to win. You got what you wanted. Are you the type of athlete or person that just acts like nothing happened, and you just move on to the next practice wanting to do more? I do think it's important to take in your success and enjoy it before moving on to the next task. And that's one little idea or caveat I will add in there is, before you just move on to, okay, what do I need to worry about in practice next? Do take that time and enjoy the win, enjoy the success, process that, make the most out of it. Go get a nice dinner, spend time with family, friends, loved ones, whoever you want to celebrate with. Like, celebrate the win, then ask yourself, okay, what's next? I'm ready for more. I want to do this again, So that's one little asterisk I want to put in the middle of the steps of how to go from win to won. Enjoy the win, enjoy the success, live it up. Take it in, make it yours, own it, and then ask, okay, what's next for me? What can I do now? How can I build on this win? How can I build on this success and make it even bigger, better, brighter next time? So I hope this was helpful, inspiring, positive just for someone out there to listen to, and just think about, mull this over. Obviously, winning is not an overnight thing, right? Winning takes time, success takes time, whatever winning looks like to you, it's a process, right? So fall in love with that process, make it your own. And with that, I just want to say thank you again so much for listening to me today. Please check out my social media platforms. Everything's listed in the show notes or in the description section of the platform that you choose to listen to this to. And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your patience. I know it's been a while since I've last posted, and I know I'm not super consistent, but I guess a piece of good news I will end on for you today is I've gotten a new job. I have moved to a new state, a new location, and I'm just a really, really happy, overjoyed, a little person over here right now. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and I hope you guys pursue some excellence today. Thank you.